Hi everyone, my name is Ishana Sharma, and today I'll be talking about accent-based code switching and its relation to the cognitive load theory. Accent-based code switching is changing one's accent as they talk to different social groups. This practice usually takes place among people who do not feel comfortable talking in their natural accent and alter it so that they fit in with the people around them. I experienced this when I moved to the United States from India several years ago and found myself feeling uncomfortable talking to others in my Indian accent. So I altered my accent and vocabulary as I spoke to the people around me and switched back to my natural Indian accent when talking to my family and close friends. I personally found this constant switching back and forth to be very mentally exhausting. According to Johnson and his colleagues' paper, people of color can face stereotype threats where they do not alter their words, accent, and/or mannerisms when interacting with other social groups. This is known as linguistic racism. The consequences from this can result in people being afraid or uncomfortable presenting their true authentic selves in a public setting. According to another paper, research in psycholinguistics shows that any type of code switching requires a great deal of cognitive effort, as seen in several adults under study who are fluent in two languages. Code switching requires cognitive control where we need to attend to things that are relevant to the current situation while ignoring information that is not relevant to the task at hand. For instance, during accented code switching, cognitive control is exercised when paying attention to speaking with a different accent, while actively ignoring one's natural tendency to use the accent that's most comfortable for them to speak in. This is applicable to the cognitive load theory, which states that our working memory has little capacity to take in a large amount of information at a time. From the working memory, that information will either go into the long-term memory or into the short-term memory, where it is then erased. Code switching greatly increases our cognitive load due to the large amount of effort taken by the speaker to consciously alter their words, vocabulary, and accent. There's a high chance of the information not going into the long-term memory, which makes it short-lived. There is some evidence suggesting that there's more mental exertion occurring for people who switch accents. However, there hasn't been much research conducted on the underlying biological mechanisms that occur when we are perceiving accents that are in our non-native language. Hernandez and colleagues conducted one of the few studies done on accent perception. Through an fMRI study, they found that processing non-native accented speech was more cognitively demanding than perceiving speech in one's native language, as shown in the results here. In the task, participants watched clips from the movie Alice in Wonderland, either spoken in their native language, which was Castilian, or dubbed in a non-native accent, which was Latin American, or in an unfamiliar language, which was Dutch, as they underwent fMRI scanning. I talk more about the posterior default mode network, or the DMN, dorsal attentional network, or the DAN, and reward network in the next slide. When participants listened to the movie spoken in a non-native accent, the authors found more engagement of the DMN, which is in the blue box, and less engagement of the dorsal attentional network, or DAN, which is in the green box, as compared to listening to speech in their native accent. Overall, this confirms that processing dialogues in the non-native regional accent was cognitively more demanding than processing dialogues in one's own accent. It required more attentional control at the expense of distraction and greater internalization processes. Additionally, listening to speech in one's native language engaged the brain's reward network, which is in the orange box. This indicates that people may feel more of a sense of belonging when listening to their native speech compared to speech which is unfamiliar or in a non-native accent. While people may feel inclined to do so, accent-based code switching is not always an ideal method of communicating because it can be greatly cognitively demanding for the speaker as they alter their accent and mannerisms. It can also prevent people from feeling a sense of belonging for themselves. If people do not find the need to code switch, not only will it be less taxing mentally, but these unique accents will also continue to add to the world's diversity. Thank you for watching, and here are my sources.